Hello, the doc is in, and welcome back to another chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 223. Oh boy. Alright. I know. I've been gone for a while. School's hard. That's about it. Yep. And I decided that I wasn't going to make a long video, because I don't think I've been gone too long. Maybe 2-3 weeks? Kind of. Whatever. Anyway, we're here. Jujutsu Kaisen. I decided to make another video, and here we are. And plus, I couldn't miss it. This is the first chapter of the fight. The fight. I have to talk about it. All right. So, in the last chapter, just to go over really quickly, basically we have a quick cut over through like the last little time skip month, where we basically have everybody being like Gojo. And, you know, got a little bit of Gojo stuff, a little bit of everybody talking, everybody getting together. We got a little bit of training with Itadori, potential Yuji power reveal, potentially. Get a little bit Kenjaku, get a little bit Sukuna. It's a nice little break chapter, but immediately we just hop right into the fight, kind of. We immediately get into the pre-fight, but the day of. But yeah, that's pretty much all for that chapter. This chapter, it's giving. It's giving great. That's what it's giving. Now, let's begin. So the chapter starts off with Gojo and Ichiji talking. They're having a little conversation. They're like, "Oh, Shibuya." You know, Gojo's like, "It brings me back." And Ichiji decides to finally ask the very deep philosophical question: what was it like in the prison realm? And the way Gojo describes it is basically, he's like, you ever have like a long work week where like the whole week feels like it went by really fast, but at the same time, by the end of the week, you're really tired? It's kind of like that. And pretty much, I think that's a very succinct and well-made explanation for a concept of time that really wouldn't make sense if you really like try to like in depth to explain it. I feel like there's like a good explanation that anybody can listen to and just kind of be like, oh, okay, I kind of get that. I guess I see where you're going with that. But they have this little conversation, and they actually end up talking about Shibuya a little bit more. Gojo basically asks like, oh, what happened to those people who got caught in my what was it? I forgot exactly what the time was, but it was like the really short domain, like the and boom, domain's over, right? But Ichiji basically explains that pretty much all those people end up being fine because of where they were in relation to like all Shibuya and stuff. Despite the fact that a bunch of cursed spirits were released in Shibuya, well, towards the end of Shibuya, because of your own cursed energy, none of the cursed spirits came to them. And they also made a full recovery, so not to worry. And Gojo's pretty happy about this. From there, they come together and they walk outside, right? And we come to find that the old guy that's the principal for the Kyoto school and Orihime are basically out there. Seems like they're setting up for something. We'll find out exactly what later. But we got Sukuna and Urame off in their building, you know, hanging out. And Urame's like, you know, I know we said today was supposed to be the day that we're supposed to fight Gojo and everybody, but how exactly does that work? Like, we didn't set a time or a place. And Sukuna's like, dog, don't even worry. We don't need all those details. When it's time, you'll know. And he's like, actually, speak of the devil, as he looks off into the horizon where it's just beaming energy, cursed energy, from presumably Gojo. He's flexing his power. And before we get to see what's going on with Gojo, Ichiji, Utsuhime, and the grandpa and Sukuna, and actually have the fight start proper, we get a cutaway. And we get a little bit of time in the time skip, which everybody was complaining about last chapter, and I was like, nah, let Gay cook. I'll trust my mans. And he definitely fulfilled. It was like, oh, everybody was like, oh, we missed out. We had so many interactions that we didn't get to see. Trust. the GOAT. Alright? So, here we are. Gojo, Gramps. Basically, I'll just kind of cut through the whole conversation. Basically. Well, Gramps shows up, and he's like, oh, I killed Principal Yaga. And Gojo's like, oh, okay. And the old guy's like, well, how come none of you guys curse me? You guys, no one's beating me up or anything. And Gojo's like, well, Principal Yaga said it himself to me. You're just a guy who follows the rules. You're not really necessarily a bad person inherently, but you're just doing your job in essence. So there's no real point in like really hating on you. And that's pretty much that's why you get like the explanation he gets for like why everyone it seems doesn't bother like getting on him, like Maki or Yuji or so on and so forth. It's kind of like you're not really a bad person, which also is kind of implied by just the fact that he's like telling people this. Like he's not like, as you can just based on his question about like, oh, why aren't you guys cursing me? It's like he's not saying it to get them to like prove a point, like, oh yeah, I'm like that, or like I disrespected you guys, I killed your friend or whatever. It's kind of like he kind of wants to repent on the deed, like he's not proud of the action he's done, which is why he keeps on saying it to people who could, take revenge on him, if you get the idea. Like saying it to Gojo, theoretically, like there's no way in the world this guy could stop Gojo from attacking him if Gojo really wanted. So to say it to him basically is like him basically resigning himself to his fate. So when he doesn't get attacked, he's probably like, what is this about? So with that being said, Gojo's kind of like, you're not that bad of a guy. And so then Gojo then asks like, oh, okay, well, what was Principal Yaga's last words? What did he say? And you also get to see that Panda is sitting outside the room where the old man and Gojo are talking, presumably trying to find out, like, was he right? Was he wrong? What is there any important information that the old guy didn't tell Panda that Gojo might find out? And the old guy's like, yeah, he told me how to make cursed corpses, how to replicate them. And Gojo looks at him, he's like, oh, would you look at that? You learned something new. Apparently, the old you would have gone and told the higher-ups immediately. But here you are, having not told them. You definitely are a little bit more of a little bit better of a person than we initially thought. It's basically what Gojo says. And honestly, he might have a point. Maybe this whole incident with Principal Yaga kind of made him like recalibrate her thought process, and really maybe this whole like Shibuya and calling games incident has really made him like be like, nah, the higher ups are kind of sellouts. Like maybe it's not best, maybe they're not the best people to be like in charge like that, or at least maybe like understands Gojo's perspective of like not wanting to listen to them a little bit more. We also then just get to get a little cutaway in the middle of this conversation of the higher ups all dead. Who killed them? Really, you can give any number of people. There's a lot of people who have a good reason to kill them. Obviously, Gojo's the first one to come in mind, but Kenjaku and Sukuna are both valid people who could also just kill them, given they're not particularly physically strong. So realistically, like I said, anybody could just go and kill them at any point in this, because of course. But anyway, we can move on from that. We can basically get Ichiji and Gojo having a little bit of heart-to-heart, and Ichiji's like, I know you got this. Yeah, I know you want me to do the barrier thing with you, but there's plenty of people who are more qualified than I am. And Gojo's like, bro, you don't understand. You're the one I trust the most. I know me and you, we locked in, alright? So that's why I always ask you specifically to make my barriers. And so Ichiji locks in. He's like, I feel like a piece of shit, and like I'm a terrible, not a terrible person, but like I'm not good enough to be hanging around the rest of you guys who got that dog in you. But he's like, if Gojo thinks I got that dog in me, I gotta bring out that dog. I don't know where he's at, but I'm gonna do what I gotta do. He's locking into this barrier, right? And we get a little narrator moment. Okay. Basically, we find out Orihime's technique, which basically is that she's able to amplify any person, including herself, cursed output. This is important because we get this in conjunction with I guess you could say parallel line information, right? Which is basically like, hey, the mastery of Jujutsu sorcery is the ability to shorten the incantation and the setup of your technique, where there are steps, movements, hand signs, dances, instruments, music, all this stuff that goes into like doing your technique. The sign that you're getting better at it would be that you have to do less stuff to get the same general effect. But the opposite is then true, where if you do everything while also having the skill, the ability then becomes more powerful. In this instance, Orihime's dancing, hand weaving, you got the instruments in the background, all the works, right? She's doing all this stuff, and so therefore it's amplifying that technique, which is why Gramps and Orihime are here. In addition to this, Gojo does the same. As a stronger sorcerer today, he does all the incantations, hand signs, and everything to lock in, creating a 200% output moment for what attack? But hollow technique purple shoots. Sukuna. Put my hands out. Blocking unlimited power. And the buildings, the gigantic hole that's being sent Sukuna's way, destroys the building Sukuna's hanging out on, completely toppling it. One shot. And we find out why Ichiji is there and doing a barrier. The reason why he's doing a barrier is because his barrier basically clouded where, like, all the cursed energy that was being built up and where exactly it was going and whatnot from the hollow purple. This allowed it so that then by the time it reached Sukuna didn't really know what was being done and where the attack was going to come from. So he basically just had to brace at the very, very last second for like hollow purple ×2. So after the rubble dust settles and everything, Sukuna comes out, one arm charred, Gojo vibing, and Gojo decides, like, you know, he's like, alright, after my opener, just so you know, you're challenging me. I'm the one with the heavyweight belt. Alright, if you want the belt, come take it off my dead body. You know, Sukuna don't take that lightly. End of chapter. Great chapter. Ooh, great chapter. If there was going to be a start to Sukuna versus Gojo, the GOAT fight, I feel like, honestly, I'm not mad at this. This is nice. You could make an argument that, oh, I want to see hands. But let's be realistic. Hands are great, but this show isn't hands. Gojo and Sukuna aren't just hands. They're techniques on full display. So we gotta see the hollow purple. The fact that we're seeing the hollow purple so early, to me, what that really means is Gojo got that dog in him. He got that secret dog in him because he's about to pull out the little baby techniques that we've never seen before. He has to. Because otherwise it feels like, oh, well, why would he use the purple so early? Because he got other stuff out in his sleeve. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like I said, overall great chapter. Nice little interjection of good lore and new information just about the whole Jujutsu world. And honestly, yeah, it's not really too much else to discuss. I pretty much went over all like the major stuff with like the Gramps and higher ups and so on. But yeah, overall great chapter. Very fun, very nice. Cannot wait for next chapter. Oh, it's gonna slap harder, I'm sure, 100% sure. believe in our goats. Gay gay. Alright, with that all being said, thank you for watching the video, and the doc is out. Peace.
Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe and watch the videos on the right. Other than that, the doc is out. Bye.